Welcome to the Bellingham-Whatcom County League of Women Voters interviews of candidates for the Charter Review Commission. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a party or a candidate. My name is Joy Monjuri, and my guest is Liz Darrow, who's running for Charter Review Commission from District 1. We're asking all the candidates for this office the same 3 questions. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer each question, and the answers are timed. This video of candidate Darrow's responses will remain on our website until after the elections on November 5th, 2024. Candidate Darrow, thank you so much for agreeing to this interview and for seeking to serve in public office.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Our first question is, what should voters know about you that differentiates you from the other charter review candidates in your district?
Thank you for the question. Well, we have 8 candidates in District 1, which is a full field. I think we're finding that more people are involved this year than in years past for good reason. What differentiates me is that I'm a community organizer. For the last 12 years, I've focused all of my professional and personal time on looking at what brings communities together, who in systems is being left out, and where are those gaps, and how can we best fill in those places. And so I think my primary motivation as a charter review and to look, how can we involve folks who have been completely left out in the past? When we look at our charter review candidates, we have one candidate who has been in the seat every time since 1978. We have several repeat names. We have a legacy in Whatcom County of a power structure that continues to hand select the same type of person over and over again. And so what motivates me is trying to get voices represented, trying to give the outreach to folks who have no idea what a charter is, what the review process looks like. And so I think it's a really exciting opportunity to engage with communities and to break down how the processes in our counties work. So I can't wait to do that work. It's what I do anyway, but I think it's a really good opportunity as a charter review candidate to get the word out about what these nuts and bolts of our governing structure are.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So your second question is, polls show Americans are frustrated with polarization in political dialogue. Tell us about an experience in which you worked effectively with someone with a different approach, different values, or different goals.
Great question. Well, for years, I've worked with state legislatures, local policymakers in neighborhoods to try to come up with policy that is representative. And a lot of times those things can be contentious because people's needs not being met creates an emergency type of a feeling, and people feeling threatened that their power will be taken away from them also creates that same kind of feeling. And so I think the best strategy, and I'm thinking of, let's see, most recently working on policy that resulted in overtime for farm workers in Washington state. A lot of farm owners didn't and still don't want that because economically it impacts them. But looking at truly valuing our workers for the work that they put in, and that Washington state is the first state in the nation to provide overtime for farm workers, I think that allows us to prioritize human dignity. And no one, whether their bottom line is impacted or not, wants to devalue human dignity. And so what that requires really, and that's been hard in the last few years of being mostly online, I think we're getting back to a place where we can sit down together in person and really talk these things through. I think at the root of most of our values is safety for our families, healthy water, healthy food, affordable housing. We all want these things for ourselves and our families. And so what it takes is really just relating to each other as if we're all in this together. And I think ultimately we find that we are, but it doesn't work to, in my experience, it doesn't work to come in with a hard line of this is the right way, you're wrong, we disagree, we're opposites. I think the charter review offers a unique opportunity to work together as a team because you have to have a supermajority, 2/3 of the vote, to get anything to the ballot. So you're going to have to figure out how to work with folks who you might have some fundamental values disagreements with and get to the things that matter most that we need to go before the So it's a great opportunity to challenge those interpersonal skills. And I'm looking forward to strengthening those muscles for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So the last question is, what issues would you focus on, which you've kind of answered, during the charter review process if elected?
Well, first of all, inclusion and outreach are so important. I can have the priorities that come from my values or my political party, but what's really important is making sure that in District 1, folks feel represented in this process. So there's a quote that I have hanging on my wall from Cesar Chavez that says, "We don't need perfect political systems, we need perfect participation." So that's my goal first and foremost, is making sure that people know what's going on and have an opportunity to interact in these meetings that happen over a year so that folks can give input. Ranked choice voting is something I'm really excited about. I think we find that when folks aren't polarized into an either winner take all system, that they can be a little bit more thoughtful with their vote, and they can start to think about, rather than a yes, no question, what are the things that we want in our representative democracy? So I'm really excited about that. Looking at opportunities for engagement, looking at perhaps, if possible, our county health board is the same as our county council, looking at whether that's equitable and fair to the public, and especially if we're going to have a pandemic or another health emergency, who do we really want in those spaces who are taking care of our community? So mostly I feel really excited about the opportunity to dissect these things one by one, reading through it. There's a lot that the charter can do. And I think starting with how our voters are represented and who has the power in our county to make these changes, and then going from there about how could we strengthen that representative democracy.
Great, thank you. And once again, thank you for giving the public this insight into your views and values. For the viewers, I want to ask them to please vote on November 5th. Ballots that are sent by mail must be postmarked on that date, and ballots that are placed in drop boxes have to be submitted by 8 o'clock on that date. So for more information, go to votewa.gov. That's votewa.gov. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Joy.